Hey everyone, so today we're diving into a really powerful idea. What happens when a community decides to face environmental challenges, things like floods and droughts, not as problems, but as opportunities? We're going to explore how they turn these struggles into meaningful, ceremonial actions that actually build a stronger, more resilient community. Let's get into it.
This quote right here is the heart of the whole thing. It's a complete mindset shift. It's about reframing adversity. So instead of just seeing an obstacle to overcome, you start to see a sacred opportunity, a chance for young apprentices to step up, to earn their place, and to really become guardians of their environment.
So, you might be wondering, how does this actually work? Well, the core idea is a system that turns ecological care into like a real journey of stewardship. This isn't just about ticking off a list of chores. It's about taking part in a genuine right of protection for the community's land and, really, for its future.
And that journey is built around 4 specific badges. Each one is designed to tackle a different kind of weather challenge. And believe me, these aren't just patches you sew onto a sash. They represent real, hard-earned skills, learned through practice and sealed with a meaningful ceremony.
All right, let's start with the Flood Resilience Badge. This one is all about tackling the challenge of too much water. It turns what could be a disaster into a sacred act of protection. The goal isn't to fight the water, but to learn how to live with it, to work in harmony with it.
And here's where it gets really cool. It's this blend of the practical and the sacred. On one hand, apprentices are learning real-world skills, building raised beds to keep crops safe, planting specific trees that are great at absorbing excess water. But then they also take part in a ceremony where they learn to lift the soil. It's this beautiful, symbolic act that elevates a simple physical task into a true rite of protection. Okay, so from too much water, let's flip to the exact opposite challenge with the Drought Resilience Badge. This is for communities where water is incredibly scarce, and so the whole focus shifts to protecting and conserving life itself.
So here, the practices are all about conservation. We're talking about things like mulching to lock moisture in the soil, setting up systems for rainwater harvesting, and planting really hardy, shade-providing trees. The ceremony is just so poignant. The apprentices carry water vessels, which is both a physical and a symbolic act of them becoming the guardians of life for their community.
What about communities that have to deal with high winds and really destructive storms? Well, for them, there's the Storm Protection Badge.
The practical side of this involves creating natural barriers, planting windbreaks, making sure young saplings are secured so they can handle the gales, and covering up the most delicate plants. But the ceremony, I find this part fascinating. The apprentices tie protective knots. It's this powerful ritual that symbolizes creating strength and order in the face of pure chaos.
And that brings us to our 4th and final badge, the Seasonal Stewardship Badge. This one is all about adapting to the natural rhythm and cycles of the year.
This badge really connects ecological care directly with the community's own traditions. Apprentices learn how to prepare plants for winter, why crop rotation is so important for the soil, and they tend to these shared community spaces, like the chapel gardens. The ceremony involves ritual plantings to mark the changing seasons, which just beautifully weaves together faith, nature, and community resilience.
So you can see how powerful each of these badges is on its own, but their true impact is what they build together. It's about way more than just a garden. It's about building community pride and a legacy that everyone shares.
This process is just perfect. It starts with one person's act of stewardship, right? That becomes a visible symbol of resilience for everyone to see. Then that evolves into a real rite of passage for the young people in the community. And finally, the plants themselves, the ones that were protected, become these living legacy markers, literally guarding the community's story for years to come.
Okay, now this is where the story gets even bigger. This super local, community-driven system doesn't just exist in a bubble. It actually connects directly to a massive worldwide framework for progress.
And that's a fair question, right? How can tending a small garden in one little community possibly have anything to do with the huge challenges facing the entire planet? Well, it turns out the connection is surprisingly direct.
Just take a look at how these badges map to the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. The Flood Resilience Badge, that's directly supporting climate action and sustainable cities. The Drought Resilience Badge is tackling zero hunger and clean water. Every single badge, every local ceremonial act, is a tangible piece of the puzzle for solving some of the world's biggest issues. This isn't just gardening, this is global action from the ground up. And it doesn't stop there.
The entire movement behind these badges, the whole apprenticeship model, the community involvement, it supports even broader goals. It creates opportunities for decent work, reduces inequalities by empowering young people, it builds strong local institutions, and it creates these incredible partnerships.
So after all this, what's the big takeaway? For me, it all comes down to the incredible power of simply reframing our challenges. It's about learning to see an opportunity where almost everyone else would just see an obstacle.
It boils down to this. These small, meaningful, ceremonial acts do so much more than just save a few plants. They build real, local resilience, while at the same time contributing to this huge global vision for a sustainable future. They empower the next generation and weave this fabric of community that is built to last. And that really leaves us with one final thought to take away. What if we started applying this idea to our own lives, to our own communities? What if every single challenge we faced, big or small, wasn't a burden, but a sacred opportunity to practice stewardship? Something to think about. Thanks for watching.